Okay, as you see, I was on my Instagram for Rojo Chief Clothing, and I'm clicking on my online clothing store. And on here, I have clothes. I got hoodies, sweatshirts. You know, if you like to buy them, long sleeve, short sleeve. I'm clicking on hoodies right now for men, and that's one. And then I'm clicking back just to show you fashions that I have for women. Like I have long sleeve shirt. Okay. Then I even have clothing for babies as well. And kids. So that's the onesie. You can get that in different colors. As well as t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeves for kids. So now, let's get ready for the show. Okay, so the 14th Amendment. Now, this is the generic information that they tell the public about the 14th Amendment. It says, passed by Senate on June 8th, 1866, and ratified 2 years later on July 9th, 1868, the 14th Amendment granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalizing in the United States, including formerly enslaved people, and provided all citizens with equal protection underneath the law. That's what they're claiming. That's what it's supposed to represent. However, as we know, in the law dictionary, there's different definitions for persons. You have a straw man that exists, which is a corporation, and corporations are considered as persons, but an artificial person, and then you have what they call a natural person. Okay, according to Cornell Law School, they say straw man. Straw man is a third party that holds property in intermission for the sole purpose of transferring it to another. In property law, a straw man would be the person whom a grantor transfers land to for some reason, sometimes known as a front, for the sole purpose of concealing the true owner. Any transaction where there is a party representing another in a purchase where the property will be transferred is a straw man transaction. In the past, to create a proper joint tenancy where one joint tenant already owned interest, it was first necessary to convey the property to a straw man, then convey the interest of the property to the ultimate grantees as joint tenants. A straw man transaction was necessary because the grantees had to acquire their interest at the same time to form a unity of time and have the unity of title. Same method of conveyance. These two elements form joint tenancy. Straw man is also a logical fallacy and argument used with the intention of distracting from the original topic. So a straw man is basically a front that they use in order to convey or transfer property. Now on here, they're saying the law dictionary, it says natural person definition, legal meaning, a human being, natural person, versus a legally generated juridical person. Okay, now Cornell Law School, okay, it says artificial person, and artificial person is also known as a juridical person, which is opposite of a natural person. So when they're talking to you, persons can mean a natural person, which is the flesh and blood version of yourself, or the artificial person. Now, artificial person is like an entity or front that they use to transfer things through or property through, like a straw man. Now, the definition of artificial person, An artificial person is also known as a juridical person. It has a legal name and has certain rights, protections, privileges, responsibilities, and liabilities in law similar to those of a natural person. In other words, an artificial person is a non-human legal entity that is not a single natural person, but an organization recognized by law as a fictitious person. In the United States, an artificial person usually refers to any entities established under the law of the United States, any foreign country or a state, a province, territory, possession, commonwealth, or dependency of the United States, or any foreign country, and as to which the government, state, province, territory, possession, commonwealth, or dependency must maintain a record showing the entity to have been established, specifically in a business sense. An artificial person is any form of a business association and any other non-governmental legal organization, including a profitable or non-profitable corporation, partnership, limited liability company, association, trust, or unincorporated organization. Okay, so this is what I found. Constitution annotated. It says, Article 3, Judicial Branch. It says the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made, or which shall be made, under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors and other public ministers and councils, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state. So look at that. They tell you citizens with a capital C. So when they say citizens with a capital C of another state, they're talking about the state citizen. It says between states or different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. Okay, so this is a website that I found out about through James C. Lovett, who came on my show and talked about state citizenship and what it is. Okay, so going on his website, this man's website, and it says the U.S. in this case is a federal corporation. The District of Columbia, also known as USDC, or the United States, as you see, is capitalized to show you that it's a corporation, right? Anything that's in all caps is a corporation. It was created by the Congressional Act of 1871. Also see 28 USC 3002. United States means a federal corporation. So a U.S., a capital U dot capital S citizen is a citizen of this federal corporation and not a union state. So a union state in the original United States of America, the Republic, which was established in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the original capital of the United States, the de jure government, the Republic. And the second capital of the United States, which is the capital of the corporation, the United States, is Washington, D.C. So that's what he's referring to. Okay? So it says not a Union state or USA Republic, because the USA Republic is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but the capital for the corporate United States is Washington, D.C., which I already told you guys about in my video talking about how Washington, D.C. is a foreign city state, and who owns that foreign city state, which is the British Crown, the Vatican, as well as whoever owns the name District of Columbia. Okay, so anyways, it says, so now it's easy to see that a U.S. citizen is a legal fiction, as we talked about earlier, which is a artificial person, which is the same thing as a legal fiction, which is the opposite of a natural person. So a legal fiction is the same thing as a artificial person, and an artificial person or legal fiction is opposite of a flesh and blood natural person. So the flesh and blood natural person is you, your physical body, that would be the state citizen of the state that you were born in, versus your name in all caps, which is a legal fiction, also an artificial person. Okay, so anyways, it says the U.S. corporation has no rights secured by the Constitution. Only people have rights secured by the Constitution, not legal fictions. You should have checked off other on the form because you are a state citizen that you were born in, which is referred to in Article 3 and the 11th Amendment of the Constitution, which is the same as a citizen of the United States as penned in Article 1 and 2 of the Constitution that you were born in, which makes you a citizen of all states and one of the people, and the beneficiary of the Republic USA Constitution 1789-1791. A state citizen, as you see, is capitalized, is a citizen of the United States, but not the same as a 14th Amendment citizen of the United States. And the 14th Amendment fell 2 states short of being ratified. So it does not lawfully exist. A 14th Amendment citizen is born in the United States, which is a federal territory and subject to Congress. This is not the same as being born in one of the several states of the Union. The United States of America is the de jure republic government, not the United States. You see how he made a distinction between the two. So when you just see United States, they're referring to the jurisdiction that Washington, D.C. has. And Washington, D.C. deals with legal fictions, which is the 14th Amendment citizen, not the state citizen that's a part of the Union states, okay, which the Union states are a part of the original United States, the de jure government, okay? So it's a distinction, okay? So we have 2 different and distinct national governments. It says this treachery has always been the goal of the enemy. See case law. It says the idea prevails with some. Indeed, it has expression in government in arguments at the bar that we have this country substantially 2 national governments, one to be maintained underneath the Constitution with all its restrictions, and the other to be maintained by Congress outside and independently of that instrument by exercising such powers as other nations of the earth are accustomed to. So that's his judgment of what he feels about it. Okay, it says Honorable Supreme Court Justice John Harlan in the 1901 case of Downs versus Bidwell. It's all about your citizenship. It's that simple. See case law. Taxpayers are not de jure state citizens. Belmont versus Town of Gulfport. 122 SO.10. U.S. versus Anthony 24 Fed A29 in 1873 the term resident and citizen of the United States. This means 14th Amendment citizen is distinguished from citizen of one of the several states, and that the former is a special class of citizen created by Congress. It says a state citizen which is born in one of the several states of the Union, not the United States. See Article 3 and the 11th Amendment of the Constitution. A citizen of the United States as penned in Article 1 and 2 of the Constitution. Notice that when you signed up to vote, it asked if you were a citizen of the United States. This is the only citizen that can vote. And 3, a non-citizen national. The wording also applies to those born in unincorporated islands of the United States. Then he has in red, it says you are not a United States citizen, which is a legal fiction, and a franchise citizen of the Federal Corporation of the United States, District of Columbia. This is one, does not have constitutional rights. Notice when you filled out the voter registration, it did not ask if you were a United States citizen, because United States citizens cannot vote. 2, you are not a United States national, which is also a legal fiction. This one also does not have any rights. You are not a 14th Amendment citizen. This is someone born in United States territory and Congress has authority over and does not have any rights guaranteed by the Constitution. See how it is worded, born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States. And of course, you are not an alien. So then I'm going to skip down. Okay, and he's saying state citizen on government. It says, however, you will not find the term state citizen on government forms because they are deceptively hiding it from the public. They use terms such as citizen of the United States or non-citizen national or other. When you get your passport, it will look like any other passport and say that your nationality is the United States of America. This is true if you are a state citizen, 14th Amendment citizen, or a U.S. citizen. So, okay. So I'm just going to leave it right there. Okay. Okay, now, this page right here, this is page 109 out of the GPO Style Manual, which was published in the year 2016. It says an official guide to the form and style of federal government publishing. Okay, so as you see here, it says nationalities, and it says, and designating the natives of the states, the following forms will be used. So when they say natives, they mean people that was born in that particular state. So if you was born in California, you're a state citizen of the state of California. So therefore, the nationality or the state citizenship that you have from California, you look down, the nationality which designates your state citizenship will be Californian, just like it would be Alabaman for a person that was born in Alabama, Alaskan for a person that was born in the state of Alaska, Arizonan for a person that was born in Arizona, Georgian for a person that was born in the state of Georgia, Floridian for a person born in Florida, and then New Yorker, and then you have Michiganian for the state citizen that was born in the state of Michigan. So these are all the different nationalities of each state, all these different names, right? Virginian for the state of Virginia, for the state citizens of Virginia. And so this is the whole list, okay? This is what proves that for each state, these are nationalities for each state, because each state is indeed a nation state. And these nation states, they all gave up some of their, how can I put it? They gave up some of their sovereignty in order for them to join or be a part of the Union of the United States. Okay, that's what they did. So with that being said, like the man said earlier, you were born originally as a state citizen, which has rights underneath the United States Constitution, but they converted you over to being a 14th Amendment citizen. But then he also pointed out, though, that they claimed that the 14th Amendment was ratified, but truthfully, it really wasn't ratified because two states did not ratify the 14th Amendment, which supposed to had given citizenships to people that was formerly enslaved. Now, that's not just people of African descent that was enslaved, but also people of American Indian descent, Hindu descent, Chinese, and also European descent that were slaves in the United States. So the 14th Amendment really wasn't ratified. It wasn't ratified because two states that was a part of the United States, the State of the Union, okay, they really didn't pass the 14th Amendment. And that's the reason why they used the 14th Amendment, and they claim that it gave citizenship to the slaves. But the only slaves that they talk about publicly is they talk about African slaves, right? And they claim that the 14th Amendment gave them citizenship. But if the 14th Amendment really wasn't truly ratified, then that means people of African descent really aren't considered as citizens of the United States. And if they're not considered as citizens of the United States, then that means that they don't have the same type of rights and privileges underneath the United States Constitution. So that's the problem, and that's the issue right there. And I'm going to show you that that's the real reason why when the situation happened in Louisiana, that's the reason why they call the people refugees. Because they know that those people referred to themselves as being descendants of African slaves, which is an African American. But this is the thing, people that was considered as African descendants were never considered as citizens of the United States. So if a person is not a citizen of the United States, that means you're a refugee. A refugee is a nationless person. Although Katrina victims were refugees in the sense that they fled from a deadly threat. Now, okay, you see here it says refugee, considered stateless. Now, as you know, the people that when Katrina had hit Louisiana, and the people, black people, that considered themselves as African Americans, the news kept on referring to them as refugees. Now let's look at the definition of refugee. Are refugees considered stateless? In international law, a stateless person is someone who is not considered as a national by any state under the operation of his law. Some stateless people are also refugees. However, not all refugees are stateless, and many people are stateless, have never crossed an international border. But that's what they refer to the people as being refugees, stateless. Because they understand that originally in the United States, people of African descent or people who claim to be of African descent were not considered as citizens of the United States. So therefore, if you wasn't considered as a citizen of the United States, that meant that you had no rights or privileges underneath the United States Constitution. And an African American is a person that is considered as a descendant of African slaves. And African slaves or descendants of Africans was not considered as citizens of the United States. So, but then they turn around and say and claim that the 14th Amendment was supposed to give or clothe people that was formerly enslaved with rights and privileges underneath the Constitution. However, Copper Moonshine Steels basically told you that the 14th Amendment is actually a sham because it wasn't actually ratified. And the reason why the 14th Amendment wasn't actually ratified was because it fell 2 states short of ratification. All the states that were supposed to have passed the law, the 14th Amendment citizen, they didn't approve it. So all the states did not approve the 14th Amendment. So then that means that if the 14th Amendment was not actually approved, then that means then that the people that was formerly enslaved are not actual citizens of the United States government. In other words, that means that they are stateless people. Okay? And that they're not covered by the Constitution. So that's what I mean when I say the things that I say concerning the misnomer African American. It's not a nationality. And the people that was considered as African Americans, they were called refugees, which is a stateless person. And a stateless person, they have no sort of remedy when it comes to the laws in the United States because they're stateless. So they have no position in law, It's just like a straw man with the artificial person. That is an entity. It doesn't have any rights or privileges underneath the United States. Okay, underneath the United States Constitution, it has no rights or privileges. Okay, so only the state citizen, which is the natural person, the state citizen, the natural person that was born in one of the states, have rights and privileges underneath the Constitution, whereas the 14th Amendment citizen doesn't, or the straw man, which is considered as a 14th Amendment citizen, doesn't have, rights and privileges. And then when you tie in the fact that the 14th Amendment really wasn't ratified because 2 states didn't pass that as a law, but yet the 14th Amendment was supposed to give rights and privileges underneath the Constitution for formerly enslaved people, that's why African Americans are considered as refugees or stateless people. And again, if you consider as a stateless person, you don't have the same rights and privileges underneath the Constitution as anybody else, as everybody else. That's all I'm saying. So this is not me saying that, American Indians and African Americans, that these are 2 different designations underneath the United States. But the American Indian is an actual race, that has actual nationality, and that the nationality of an American Indian, it can be Saponi, it can be Lenape, it can be Cherokee, it can be Yamasee, it can be Catawba, it can be several different nations. An American Indian can be from many different nations, and an American Indian will be a natural person that descended from different nations from both their mother and father side of their family, whereas an African American, that's not considered as a real nationality. It's a misnomer for people who think or believe that they descended from enslaved Africans. But the truth of the matter is, less than 200,000 African people was actually brought to the United States as slaves. The vast majority of the slaves were actually American Indians, and that was kidnapped from South America, the Caribbean, Central America, and brought into the United States and vice versa. So, and then what you also have to realize is that the African people that were brought over to the United States, they end up mixing in with the bigger population of black people. And the bigger population of black people are and were the American Indians. So then at the end of the day, that would still mean that the majority of black Americans in the United States are actually American Indians or people of American Indian and African descent. However, the difference between legally and lawfully between the American Indian and an African American is the African American will be considered as stateless, whereas the American Indian has sovereignty over the land and natural resources of the United States. Okay? And that the lands of the American Indians were placed inside of a trust via the different Indian treaties. That's the difference. Please like this video if you haven't already. And please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to know when I drop a new video. Thank you.